Hey, what's up, everybody? Garrett Grumlin here with Duty to Train. Obviously, everybody has already heard that a gunman tried to take the life of former President Donald Trump, and I want to give you my personal breakdown of how this just does not add up. A lot of people, I think, are, hesitant or skeptical to say, it doesn't add up, like, oh, it could be negligence. And I want to explain to you why I just do not think that this could possibly be negligence. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm not going to claim things that I don't know. All I'm saying is that if this was negligence, it had to be the worst case of negligence that's ever been neglected. It had to be so bad because it was so grossly incompetent. And so because it was so bad, that just wasn't the case, in my personal opinion. And I want to just quickly go through a couple reasons why. So first off, if you haven't seen a picture of kind of like the setup of the area, Donald Trump was giving a speech here, about 140 yards, kind of kitty corner to him to the right was a group of buildings. And the shooter shot at President Trump from that rooftop. Right behind kind of President Trump right here, very close to him, within maybe 20, 25 yards, was a tall building, and there were two snipers posted up on this building, and it looked like their field of fire, their area of protection, was directly lined up with these buildings. They were directly facing these buildings. Okay, so a couple things that don't add up. One, how on earth does somebody get within 130 yards of the former president of the United States with a rifle? That's insane. The idea that that's even possible, it just boggles the mind. Second, apparently there was a ladder. So this person, how did he know to go to this building, right? Did he just wander around with a backpack and a bag, walking past a bunch of law enforcement, and everybody just walked, and he was able to just walk around until he happened to find an empty building, and there was a ladder leading up to the roof. So he just walked around until he found this vacant building with no security, climbed up this ladder onto the roof, 130 yards away from the president, set up, and took a shot. That doesn't make any sense. On top of that, there's like footage from civilians who were yelling out to law enforcement because you could see him from the ground. It looked like a two-story building, and you could see him from the ground because it wasn't like a rooftop where like on big tall skyscrapers and stuff where you can kind of walk around up there and it's enclosed by like a wall so nobody falls off, right? It was just a flat rooftop, so you could see him from the bottom. So people are yelling at law enforcement for over 90 seconds. They spot him, they start recording, so they probably even saw him before that, but people took out their phones, started recording, and by the time the recording starts until the gunshots ring out is 90 seconds. So you add up the fact that this guy got onto this building, climbed up a ladder with a gun, 130 yards away from the president, when two snipers are facing this building and their sole task is to look out for any potential threats. And then he sits there for 90 seconds while everybody's yelling, hey, there's a person with a gun. And then he ends up taking, I heard the video, apparently I've heard some people say like 7 to 8 shots, but he took 3 before anybody else shot at him. But then, 3 ring out, there's a slow little pause, and then, gunfire just starts ringing out like crazy. And, but okay, so this is the part that's crazy. There was a BBC interview, and this is where a lot of people are hesitant to, say, oh, it was planned, or, I don't know the answer. Nobody knows. So I'm not going to say that I know. All I know is that this was not, or all I'm very confident in saying is that this was not pure negligence. It could not have been, because there was a BBC interview of a guy, and he was saying all the things that you don't need to have training to understand. He's like, we were yelling at people that he was up there. He's like, I don't know how he got up onto that roof. Apparently there was a ladder. Why was there a ladder? He said, I don't know, why he was able to sit up there for 90 seconds. So if you were charged with securing this area, any person with like an ounce of like smarts in your brain would stand on the podium, look around, and if there was a tall building 130 yards away, right here, facing the podium with no obstructions, anybody, not Secret Service, not, people who've done this their whole lives, anybody would secure that area in its entirety. And so the idea that that was just overlooked is nonsense, absolute nonsense. There's no way. So another thing too, and this maybe goes to show the negligence of the social or the Secret Service. And I'm not harping on women being on the Secret Service. Yeah, that's like separate. I've heard people go back and forth. I don't even want to get into that right now. But riddle me this. How is anyone, because Donald Trump, apparently he's like a pretty tall guy. I think he's like 6'4" or so. He's a tall dude. How is anyone who's like 5'8" supposed to physically protect somebody who's 6'4"? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you have somebody on the Secret Service detail who's smaller than Donald Trump? I totally understand if people who are smaller were like outside and they were doing other things around, but the people directly surrounding the president, you have to be big because that's the whole point. I've listened to some Secret Service people before, Dan Bongino. If you listen to him, he talks about this a lot. You're trained to get big. You have to get big because every time, and you'll see everybody in the crowd behind Donald Trump, everybody gets small, right? Everybody, when shots ring out, they get small. And so the Secret Service trains you to get big because you have to protect the president. But the idea that out of all of the Secret Service agents in the agency, that you're going to pick a couple women who are 5'8", 5'9", and that's the person who's supposed to stand in front of Donald Trump so nobody can shoot him, doesn't make sense. But that honestly just goes to show more to like negligence because it was like out there in plain public view, clearly just a poor choice of personnel. This is crazy. And a lot of people, I think, I don't know. There are some people out there that are saying, this is, but I think a lot of people are giving too much credit to the Secret Service. And I'm not saying all the Secret Service agents, but something went wrong here and it was more than negligence. And, I'm sick of people saying, I don't know what you can say on YouTube, but like, I want this video to get out. So like, oh, it's the, theory, whatever. I'm sick of that. How many of those have come true in the last 5, 6, 7 years? And this was so obvious. It was so clear that this was beyond negligence because it was so bad. No one with any type of tactical mindset would stand up on that podium and not secure that building 130 yards away. You just can't argue that. You cannot argue that. So there's more to this story than meets the eye for sure. And we're just going to have to wait and see what comes out. But this story does not add up. And I just wanted to give you my 2 cents. Until next time, stay safe, live free, and honestly, the one good part is thank God he was not killed because that would have been really bad. That would have just started a firestorm. I don't know what would happen, but let's go. Until next time, stay safe, live free. I'll talk to you soon. See you, everybody.